So Uprising is launched, and with it we got a brand new PvE game mode. In this game mode you'll fight through a modified version of King's Row plagued with AI enemies whilst trying to complete the map objectives. All in all, I feel like the Brawl has turned out extremely well for what it is, and I want to preface that. I'm not hating what Blizzard has done with this game mode, but I feel like their experience in making PvE content is what ultimately hindered them. Again, while it's fun to play through and you can definitely feel the Blizzard polish, there's one crucial detail that this game mode does not play into, and that is replayability. Now, before I make it look like I'm going on a crusade against them and only talk about the things I feel they have done wrong, let's talk about what they did right, because at the end of the day, I'm not making this video to mindlessly hate on their work. Quite the opposite, I like it and I want it to be even better, so let's get right into it. First off, they made two versions of it. We know how difficult it is to balance the original PvP game modes with the large roster of heroes that we have. That problem does not become any easier if you're trying to make PvE game modes. So thumbs up for them giving us one "this is how it is intended to be played" version with limiting our hero choice, and another one where we got free reign but are also aware that it has not been balanced for the entire hero roster. Moving on, something that improved compared to Junkenstein's Revenge: player movement. Now, player movement is important for a couple of reasons. First off, it actually means that the players have to do something. If you have a game mode where the most efficient way of beating it is finding a place that feels reasonably safe and that allows you to see all the enemies from, then you're inclined to not move for the entirety of said game mode. That is obviously not very fun. Furthermore, you are changing the environment. Especially during a first playthrough, players might be motivated to beat the encounters because they want to see how the map changes as they progress. And this time around, this modified version of King's Row, I would argue, definitely rewards players for progressing through it. It looks absolutely gorgeous. What's also great is they added different archetypes of enemies. You're not just shooting the dudes that move slowly and the dudes that move faster and eventually destroy your objective. You got your standard grunts, you got your little guys that do heavy damage to your objective, you got your huge exploding guys, and you get your shield guys as well. That's a fair bunch of guys that you play against. Of course, I won't get around giving them credit for the great overall feel of the game with their intro, their voice acting, and the objectives that all feel like they make sense for us to complete. But well, if it's such a great game mode that is so much fun to play through, what is there to even complain about? Well, it suffers the same problem that Junkenstein's Revenge had. It was designed in a way that gives very little incentive to the player to beat it multiple times. Obviously, you will have a fair bunch of players who will keep playing it because they know Blizzard is monitoring the statistics. They have confirmed that if a game mode becomes very popular, they see it as a sign that the community wants to keep them. And they also want to see more of that kind. This is how Uprising came to being to begin with. You will also have your players that play through it multiple times to get the achievements, or those that play this over 3v3s or any other arcade game mode because it's a more fun way to get your weekly loot box reward. However, since this game mode lacks any sort of reward past the first playthrough, and I'm not counting achievements here because those appeal to a very specific kind of player, but with this lack of incentive to play, you already got yourself a problem when it comes to replayability. Now, with how rewards have been handled in the past in Overwatch, there isn't much that they can do in this department. They can't just give us a loot box for every playthrough. So let's talk about what is far worse than not rewarding the player, and that is the lack of randomized encounters. For those of you having played World of Warcraft, you might know how dungeons and raids have been designed. There's a certain formula to it. You have a plotline that follows throughout the entire thing to a lesser or greater extent, you have boss encounters, and in between you're dealing with weaker types of enemies. Uprising has been created in a similar way. Your boss encounters are the objectives that you have to complete, and you're usually fighting a few grunts on your way to the next one, and obviously there is a plotline. Now, it's not like Blizzard has invented this formula, and it's not like it's an unusual way of creating PvE content. However, what they should have done, in my opinion, is add legitimate boss encounters, not just objectives. I understand the difficulty of doing that because, again, it's difficult to balance boss encounters around a roster of 24 different characters. But it does not feel like a problem that an experienced team like we have at hand here could not fix, at least when we talk about the limited game mode with only 4 available characters. That should be doable. So the problem might have just been either time restraints or they are evolving these PvE game modes bit by bit. I mean, Junkenstein's Revenge was bare bones for a reason. They wanted to test the waters and see how the community feels about PvE content in a PvP only game. Another thing that moves a little bit outside Blizzard's comfort zone would be, as mentioned earlier, randomized encounters. The fact that past the first playthrough we know what to expect in every single subsequent session is a really big problem in my eyes when it comes to replayability. They could have created a set of mini bosses with their own unique movesets and weaponry that you either have to fight in between objectives or as an end boss for each respective objective that you have have completed. If you had a set of 6 mini-bosses, and I'm not talking about any crazy mechanics here, and you put 3 of them in each playthrough at random, then players have an incentive to play through it multiple times to see all the bosses, and they're not encountering the exact same thing every single time. They could also increase the roster of mini-bosses the higher the difficulty goes. So Legendary would be the only difficulty that features the entire roster of them, while the hard difficulty has one more than the normal one, very hard adds another one, etc, etc. While it isn't a permanent solution for an infinite level of replayability, I feel like it would definitely help a lot, and honestly, to me personally, it is a massive deal breaker. Past the first day after I've tried a bunch of different heroes, I honestly don't have much of a reason to play it anymore, besides I wanted to make more of these, so I guess I'll keep playing. If they ever decide to focus more resources on the constant development of PvE content, which I'm not convinced that they will, since again we're talking about a game that is originally PvP only, but should they decide to keep doing these, adding another currency might be a good idea. Reward players for actively playing these game modes and reward them for their performance and higher difficulty levels with a new currency that they can use to buy exclusive rewards. Those could be anything from sprays to voice lines and maybe even just the normal currency so they can buy skins with it or have them use a bunch of it on loot boxes. That could potentially fix the issue that is the lack of incentive to play on a reward basis. Besides that, I do stand behind the addition of randomized encounters. It just adds so much value and replayability to a game mode that I feel like it would be stupid to not do it. But hey, all of that at the end of the day is just my opinion, so if you guys got some better ideas or you just want to add to the discussion, that's what we have the comment section for. As always, thank you everybody so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, do let me know by dropping me a like on your way out, subscribe if you want to see more, and I hope to see you all next time.
This is Captain Amari. The first air defense node is right around the corner.
Sweetheart!
Don't charge in there on your own.
Shut up, Anna! You don't tell me how to play this game.
Stay near the terminal.